Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they scared of you.
Awesome. We'll get started. Hi, Warner. How are you?
Hi, thank you. I'm excited. I'm fired up. I did my 10 push-ups, 10 jumping jacks before I got started. So let's rock and roll.
You're pumped. I'm pumped as well. I know that this is going to be a very interesting conversation. I am curious about many things. And if I'm curious, I know people are going to be curious. So I'm excited.
Awesome.
So for the
Let's rock and
people
roll. Yeah.
that don't know who you are, I have here Mr. Warner Trejo.
Yes.
He is an entrepreneur and success coach. Fancy. Additionally, he's one of the most sought out trainers in the financial industry, where he emphasizes developing business brokers in the financial sector. Warner has been featured in Medium magazine and in the Los Angeles Tribune. Very cool. He is also the host and founder of the Stay in the Big IGTV series and podcast, available on Spotify.
Yes.
And a series that's focused on highlighting the habits, mindset, and stories of effective entrepreneurs, athletes, individuals of all sectors.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I don't think all of those things were present 2 years ago, right? It was just, this is Warner.
Yeah.
But yeah, through time, it's been it's almost surreal listening to that. It's almost surreal getting introduced that way because it's been a process. But yeah, I'm happy to be on.
Can we talk about how fast this has all happened, actually? Because I know with the podcast and the show, it started during COVID, correct?
Correct. That is correct. It started March. Well, to be honest, I don't remember when exactly. Like, it was September. Like, I don't have a date. I just know it started in COVID. And the biggest part of it was like, I don't have to be stuck in traffic commuting anymore. I don't have to go drive to my clients anymore. So there was a lot of additional time I now had on my schedule. So I wanted to find out, what do I do with that time? I've always felt that I was a good speaker. So I was just like, I'll just start making videos. And I've never been one to like, I'm gonna make videos of myself. I that's how I started it, but it was like it felt weird to me, right? Just like of me talking, and I started getting a lot of DMs like, "Hey, you should podcast. Hey, you should start this." And when the market speaks, I feel like you must provide, right? Like if people want to hear you, then that's what kind of like gave me that inspiration. And I started it very beginning of quarantine, and it's developed and it's become a life of its own. Yeah.
It really has been. Okay, so I can give people some context. I met Warner when I was interviewing my friend Kevin, who's a musician. He's a drummer. And Warner was there. He was helping out with setup and things like that. And we got to talking, and he wanted to look at what my show was about really quick. And then I was like, okay, great. And, saw that you had a podcast as well and had your own show, and thought, oh my gosh, he's super successful. And as soon as I was like, how long have you been doing this? You're like, since March. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So we were like, I might have started it maybe like a few months later, but it just was so interesting to me. First of all, your ability to connect with people is pretty outstanding. Like, everyone that you've introduced me to, I always ask them, I'm like, how do you know Warner? How do you know him? I'll say the same thing. They're like, oh, you know what? I know him through Instagram, but he's such a great support system, and he's so this, he's so that. And I'm like, this guy knows how to connect with people really well. So it doesn't surprise me, the success of your show.
Thank you.
But talk to me a little bit about how that started. Like, you said that you had people that reached out to you and said you should start a show. Are these friends, or what was it that they wanted to listen to? Yeah.
So the best way for me to say this was I scared, right? People want to know, were you fearful? Were you scared? Were you anxious? Yes, I was all of those things and more. the biggest thing for me was like just starting. I didn't have an idea. I didn't, to this day, like I have people in my life that help me with things. Like I didn't know what kind of camera to have, what's the proper camera, what the heck is lighting, why to have lighting, what's audio. Like we talked about Kevin, like Kevin's like a full-on professional at this. Like this dude has like the right camera, the right thing. I don't have that. I it's not that it's not important, but it's not the most important. The most important was just starting.
Yeah.
Just getting over that fear to just start. So for me, it was that first hurdle was just starting, because I was like, I just saw the wave coming of, you know what? People want to see your face more than they want to see this picture of you with a nice background. Those things are nice, but people want to get to know me, the person, just like people want to get to know V, the person, right? So for me, it was, what's the best way for you to get to know me? Well, I want you to hear me talk, hear my tonality, hear my energy, hear my story. So it was just, okay, let me create a video. Let me start creating videos. Once I started creating videos, I knew I was a great speaker, because that's one thing I've always practiced in my car when I'm alone. I'm just like, I'm going to be on stage one day. So I have all these speeches lined up, but it's just like they were all to myself. So I was just like, well, if I have a message, why not just say this on video? And essentially, you know, it started off with 10 views. Then it started off with 100 views. And through the quality of content and through the genuineness, that I think one of the big things was, the biggest freedom for me was being honest with myself. I pride myself in never lying to anybody. I don't see it's a time waster. But more than that, what I found out is that the real freedom doesn't come in just not being honest to everybody else, but being honest to yourself. And being honest to myself was like, okay, how can I be vulnerable to my audience? Hey, this is who I am. This is where I failed. This is where I suck. This is where I'm good at. Like, people don't talk about those things, right? Like the story, the true story. So for me, it was that, getting my story, getting my vulnerabilities. And a big part of my vulnerabilities was having my face on camera. To this day, it's not like, oh my God, I look so good on camera. Like, it's the total opposite, but it doesn't matter, because it's not about the visuals. It's about the message that's being said on camera. And when we're in person, like if I were with you in person, I'm not going to scroll through my phone and ignore you, the person. Well, I feel like on video, it's the same thing. It's like, hey, we're here, right? Through the quarantine, this is the new norm. So why not just use it as a platform to expand? And in regards to the connections, what it's led to is just like, okay, this is who I am. This is what you get. And like, that genuineness has allowed me to just connect with other people that are like, hey, you know what? It's either one, I've found freedom in connecting with you, or number two, we're aligned. And so for me, it's just been that amazing journey of like, I recently posted this, like, I'm not self-made by any means, nor do I want to be. I don't want to be the guy that says it's lonely at the top. I want to be the guy that says, hey, you know what? A high tide lifts all boats, whether you're a tugboat, whether you're a yacht, whether you're a ship, we're all going to rise together. So that's where the philosophy behind that comes. And to be honest, it costs $0 for me to connect you with anybody else. It costs me $0. Like, so why am I going to be stingy with it? Like, you know, like, no, I'm not going to introduce you to my friend, or, oh yeah, let me double check with my friend. Dude, it doesn't matter, bro. Like, here's an introduction. Whether you or not connect, that's not my problem. My responsibility was just introducing. And so my philosophy behind that was just like, I've learned that in business, some of the best ways to learn is not to stop and study. Some of the best ways to learn is to keep going, keep doing. And so for me, the biggest thing with podcasting, with content, with networking, you know, with connecting with individuals was like, hey, guess what? Not everyone's going to be happy that I connect them. Not everyone's going to be happy or appreciative of my energy. Guess what? I don't care. Right? If you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream. Like, you know, and even that, you can't make people happy because they're, oh, lactose free or whatever, right?
Oh,
but the idea behind it was just like, keep going. Essentially, you'll meet people that align with you, and then they begin to connect you with other people. And so for me, that's been the biggest thing, was just like I don't know. It's not that I don't have goals, but I don't set expectations when I connect with people. But what I do know is that someday that's going to connect me with the right person, with the right people. And I think that's what it's done for me. It's because of that honesty and genuine energy that I'm putting out, it's led me to the right people. And like I said earlier, like I'm not self-made. The growth has not been me. It's the people. Like it's everyone else.
That is a pretty powerful message. Can't say that. Well, connecting with people, a lot of people have that, like that's their slogan, right? I just want to connect with people. I've said it. That's for sure where I come from. That's my interest in talking to people, because like conversation through Zoom, that's kind of what opens my mind, and the stimulating conversations, that's what helps people to grow and to remove preconceived ideas of what they thought something was like, judgments, all that stuff. And especially right now, we're so divided, in our society. So the idea, the way that you were able to break down connecting, and how you're just kind of like, it doesn't matter. Like, stop overthinking it. Stop like making it such a like tiptoe type of thing. It seems like your approach is very like, bro, let's just all go in. Let's just all.
It's funny because when I was through high school and college, I'm very good at able to connect with people, even if they're from different genres. My father taught me early on to always find out something that's random, because one day you're going to be able to use that information. Like find out a fun fact about Colombia, find out a fun fact about Peru, find out a fun fact about Ecuador. Like essentially one day you'll come across somebody and boom, that little fun fact will building rapport with people, right? So I knew I had that in person. So I was like, well, why don't I use this same skill set that I considered it a skill set, the same skill set I have in person. Why don't I use it with social media? First of all, social media is free. Like if you're overthinking the fact that people are going to hate you, people are going to hate you even if you don't do anything. So it's like get over it, dude. Yeah, like just get over it. Like their opinions don't matter. Like one of the biggest things was, don't take constructive criticism, but from someone who's never constructed anything. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the reason why I say that is because people that have created something, guess what they're going to tell you? Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, that's a great idea. People that haven't built anything, guess what they're going to say? Oh no, you're not doing it right. That's not the right way to do it. And it's just like, dude, I can't take feedback from you because you're doing nothing with your life. Or at least if you're going to take feedback, take it from someone who's built what you want to have, right? Like if I want to live if I want to make $1 million, I'm not going to go seek advice from someone who makes $60,000 a year, because they've never made $1 million, right? They've never so it's just be mindful of, be clear on what your why is, right? Have the big picture, and as you develop, understand that, guess what? You're going to fail. You're going to fail, and it's okay. So I would say fail now, fail fast, and fail often, because that's the keys that unlock the success. Okay. It's not doing it.
And with your business, we can touch on that a little bit, because you've applied all this, not just to a show, but obviously to the business that you're building. Talk to me a little bit about that, because it's finance, but do you have something else, or is it just solely you're in finance and that's going to grow?
No, good question. So it's funny because one of my personal crusades with the podcast was, how can I create a platform where I introduce this level of person, this level of mindset, and introduce it to everyone else, right? Create a platform that bridges the gap. Why do I say that? Because I think our business, in the financial industry, the crusade is just that. You have the 1%ers of the world. They have their brokers, they have their financial team, they have, these private bankers, they have everything in place to help them. But then the middle class, you're like, dude, like, I think I have a realtor, but the only person I have that teaches me finance is like mom and dad, my friend, my coworker, and the bank teller that doesn't tell me anything.
It's pretty sad.
Like it's not sad. It's just like, that's what we have.
It's sad because we haven't been given the resources in schools to learn it better. You know what I mean? Like that's what's sad. Not the fact that these people aren't good resources, but it's just that.
Yeah. So the beauty about like where we are as a company is that that's our crusade. It's to bridge the gap. Like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they're not calling. I come from a Latino background. They're not calling my family, dude. My family is broke, you know? So a big part of our mission as an individual in my business is like, well, how do I bring those concepts and those same financial products that the 1% has access to everyone else? Why? Because that's where I come from. I'm part of the people, right? Like, it sounds like a revolution, but that's what it is. We're revolutionizing the financial industry, right? And so the biggest excitement for me was like, oh shoot, I have access to this product. I have access to financial freedom. I have the ability to now transform the trajectory of my family's life, not through, oh yeah, get your corporate job. Not that that's wrong, but it was just like those traditional means weren't going to provide me financial freedom. They weren't going to build me the liberty that I wanted, right? They weren't going to, the idea of trading your time for money, bro, that is so 1960s. Like, get it over with. Like, there's just not an equal amount of money that can, accommodate you. Like, your time is so much more valuable. Your ability to create, your ability to network, your ability to build is so much more potent today than it was 40 years ago. So like, stop with that mindset, dude. Like stop like that. It's not that template is wrong. It's outdated. For my I just got pumped. My biggest shift is like, okay, how can I help transform that why? Because it helped transform my life. For me, it wasn't necessarily the how. It didn't matter. If they offered me 20 grand a month to clean up poop from the backyard, I'd do it. Why? Because of the why. My why was like, you know what 20 G's will do for me and my family? It would do amazing things. So let's not talk about, oh, that's not what I want to do. Let's talk about the why behind it. What's the why? Do you want to create legacy? Do you want to make a difference? Do you want to change your life? And not just your life, but the life of those that come after you, because that's what real legacy is. Legacy isn't what you see. Legacy comes to those that come after you.
That is a direct quote from Simon Sinek, and I love that man so much. But you know what? You're really touching on like a lot of what's prevalent within our times right now, especially COVID. Many people have been laid off, so that seeing how fickle, how our security jobs are not secure, our benefits in our companies that are going to have our back. That's not really the case because it's still a business, and if they don't have funding, then they can't provide for you. So I think. How long have you been in the financial industry?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So that's why the shift in my life personally, there's been that shift of I can't rely on somebody else to sustain me. Like I can't rely on the boss or the company to give me what I need. I'm trying to build that out myself now. But still very new for me. And because I've always been structured, right? Hispanic family, for the most part, structured to like get that good job. You get education, you get a good job, you have security, you sustain your family, and you live a happy life. As beautiful as that is, our world around us has shoved us into a new reality where that's not going to be the case, but it's okay because we're finding new things within us. And I love that. So that's great. So within your business, you've been able to, you had mentioned before that you even in your car, you would speak to yourself and you would kind of go in your head.
I still do.
But that has been kind of a part of you since, I think, high school, you said, college?
I've been talking to myself for a long time.
Okay. So has this always been your message? Or what was it that you would think you would be sharing knowledge on?
I didn't think. Like this is, and that's a great question, and I'll say why. Sometimes we get too caught up in the do what you love. That's the biggest bowl of horse. Can I cuss on this thing?
Can you say that louder, actually?
Can I cuss on this?
Yes, go ahead. Feel free.
This idea of the biggest thing that paralyzes your dream is this idea of do what you love. I'll tell you why. That's the biggest bowl of horseshit there is. This is why. I love sports. I've played sports my entire life. You know what I hate doing when I was in sports? I hated waking up early morning to go do cardio. I hated following a meal plan. I hated 3 times practices a day. I hated going to the film room. But you know what I loved? I loved going on the field and being the best player there was. All of that other crap I hated was necessary to do something that I love. Growth is necessary in your life. Discipline is necessary in your life. Change is necessary in your life. You don't love those things, but guess what? That's going to create a next level you. That's what is going to create a better version of you. That's what's going to change your life. Not this idea of staying the same. Doing what you love. This is what I love. I love sleeping and I love watching TV. I don't do enough of those things. But you want to know why? Because that crap isn't making me money. That crap isn't making me legacy. That crap isn't making me better. I'm not saying don't sleep. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, is there's certain activities in your life that you're going to have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. You want to be a better businesswoman, be a better businessman, you're going to have to sacrifice some family time.
That's a great point to emphasize. To do what you love, that idea to do what you love, go after your dreams. I get where that comes from, and I get why that motivates people. However,
that was the point. I'm back on it. So the idea of doing what you love, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was just like the thought just came back to me. It's so getting to this idea of doing the things that you love. I'm not condoning it. Do it. But in the process, there's going to be a lot of things you don't love. I'll give you an example. And I'll ask you, V, did you have a high school crush?
Yes.
Do you still feel the same about that crush today than you did then?
No.
You know why? Because you outgrew that crap. Right? Like at that point in time, oh, I love him. Oh my God, what I would do or whatever. That's how your goals are. The goals you have at 35 or at 45 are different from the version of the 25-year-old you. Yeah. Right? So why do I say that? As you develop, your identity begins to shift, and now your capacity begins to shift, your confidence begins to shift, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you know what? I used to think $1 million was impossible. I don't anymore. I used to think impacting the world was impossible. I don't anymore. I used to think people don't want to listen to me. I don't think that anymore. So now why did that change for me? Now that changed, now that I realize I do have the ability to influence, guess what? I'm now creating something that I didn't think before, because my identity and my capacity wasn't there. So I couldn't even imagine that. So like where you are today, if you're just bundled in with the main thing I would say is just work on yourself, because as soon as you increase your ability to do something, you increase your confidence in doing that. But not only that, but you increase your belief. And then once you're there, you're just like, dude, I can do so much more. So it's just like, get over this idea of do what you love. It's like, hey, bro, just do like Nike, just do it.
I feel like as you're talking, I'm like sitting back in my seat, like my brother's like talking to me right now. But I think the tone is powerful. I think the message is powerful, and it's I can tell that you have defined it. Like it's clear in your heart and your mind, the things that you stand for and how you have been putting these things into practice, because you can just say them with so much conviction. And it's funny that you brought up that analogy about the high school crush, because I was reading the article from the Tribune, and you had said that, like, I'm going to paraphrase, but you had said like finding your career is like dating. I think you used that analogy. Yeah. And it's pretty much like you try it out, and if it doesn't work, then you move on.
Yeah, I don't have many rules in my life. I don't. I've always been the kid who like, Warner doesn't follow the rules, whatever. But there are certain of them, right? And one of them is this 90-day rule. What is a 90-day rule? Well, it takes 21 days to break a habit. It takes 90 days to build a lifestyle. Why is that important in fitness? If you quit after 3 weeks, dude, don't complain that you didn't get results. Just shut up and go do something else, right? Go back to eating your pizza. Like if you spend 90 days in a fitness program, you're going to see results. You spend 90 days dating somebody, you're going to figure out, you know what, V, you and I are just not going to work. Like, you know, like we just don't. Like 90 days will give you a substantial amount of
that sweet spot.
Yeah, it's just 3 months of like all in. It'll give you this works, this doesn't work, I like it or I don't like it. It'll answer all those questions for you. Guess where you're not gonna understand? Have you ever do you have friends in your life where you're like, I didn't know we were gonna be this close and we ended up being this close?
Yes.
Has that ever happened before though?
Yes.
Where you're just like, oh dude, when I met you, it was just like, but then I knew you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what entrepreneurship is. You're gonna find some things, and it can be a career in law, it can be network marketing, it can be starting up a restaurant, it can be podcasting. There's gonna be things that you're gonna be like, you know what, that's just not for me. And then you do it and you're like, holy smokes, I'm really good at this. Thank God I didn't listen to myself, right? Like, and that to me, that was my reality. It's like, hey, not every thought you think is true.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So you got to understand that sometimes you got to get out of here and realize that everything around you is what reality is. This isn't. So you got to try things. You got to do things. And it's like dating. Just because I met someone and it's the first time I meet someone and they're beautiful doesn't mean I'm going to marry her. I don't know that. I just met them, right? So I gotta give myself substantial time. Well, that's your life journey. Give yourself some time to. Don't just try something for 2 weeks. You try anything for 2 weeks, guess what? It's just never gonna work. You try working out for 2 weeks, you're never gonna get results. You try dating someone for 2 weeks, like it's just not, right?
You said before that you love sleeping and watching TV.
Yes.
That, I mean, I can relate to 100%.
I think we all can.
We can, but at the same time, like I met up with my financial advisor, who I told you about before, and she's somebody that's like, dude, someone has to force me to like chill out and watch TV. Someone has to like, my husband tells me like, calm down, you know, you don't have to keep go all the time. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, man, I wish that was my struggle. Really? Yeah. Like my tendency leans on the lazy side, on the comfortable side, but she's always been just that type of person. Yeah. So in hearing that kind of was your default or can be your default, yeah. What's something that you do to not fall back onto that habit, those tendencies that will get you nowhere? Yeah.
So that's a great point you bring up. It's still a process. Mm-hmm. It's not something I've mastered. This idea, like, hey, I'm gonna tell everybody right now, I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I don't drink 3 gallons of water as soon. Like I don't know if I'll ever be that guy, but I'm like there's a process through the changes, right? Like sleeping isn't bad. Just don't sleep 16 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Like watching Netflix isn't bad. Just don't prioritize it in front of work. Just don't prioritize it in front of your business. There's plenty of, if you really schedule your 24 hours, like, okay, for this time is my sleep time. The first hour after that, like if you schedule stuff, you're going to realize how many gaps you have in your schedule. Those gaps, you know what you can do in those gaps? You can schedule your Netflix time. As weird as that sounds, you schedule dentist, you schedule eat, you schedule lunch, you schedule work, you schedule meetings, but you forget to schedule family, you forget to schedule fun, you forget to schedule TV. Like have that in your schedule as well. Like, so for me, it wasn't necessarily, you know, becoming disciplined and I don't watch TV ever and TV's, you know, not congruent to your growth. Dude, baloney, bro. Like watch a baseball game, watch a basketball game. Like just don't prioritize. If I have a client and there's a Laker game on, I'm going to give my client my priority. Lakers aren't paying my bills, right? Like the Bachelorette isn't going to pay my bills as bad as this season is, right? And as captivating as that may be, I have a legacy to grow. So just prioritize those things in your life, you know, like the whole diet, right? Like, I don't want to get into that because that's definitely, wellness is not my field, but it's not going to kill you to eat a pizza. Just don't do it every day, you know?
Yeah.
So,
it's all about balance. But that's, I resonate with people who talk like that. Talk in those terms of the baby steps, the little things that you adjust during your day. When I hear podcasts or when I hear people that say things like, I just have always been this way, and I've, been in every club in my college, and I've been valedictorian. Like, it comes natural to me. I'm like, oh, good for you. Okay, great.
yeah, there are people that way, right? There are people that are just,
there are.
They've always been that, and there's just not a, there's
That's
just not
me being the hater, because I envy people like that.
It's a process. It's a process. It's funny. It's funny you talked about that. You look at any professional athlete, people see the athlete, the professional athlete. They didn't realize that this person started at the age of 4 with whatever sport it was. And then by the time they reach 24, that's 20 years of practice that someone else didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So habits are like that. There's a lot of things my parents gave me, but there's a lot of things that they didn't give me. And the things that they didn't give me are the things that I'm now developing to make me a different person. I'm grateful for what they gave me, but I'm also grateful that they allowed me. I have to go through this other process to now get better. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like to your point, the things that you're going through right now, it's just a process. Like the people that already have those habits, yeah, kudos to you that you have those habits. I got to develop.
That really is great. Like, I'm not bashing on anyone who naturally is like a
no, the heck with them.
It's like this righteous jealousy, okay? But yes, that I think you have brought up so many things that are very like in your face. Have just like, I have to walk away from this like process a lot. But it was good. It was good because I know, you're a business coach as well, so you know what you're talking about, and you have talked to many, many business entrepreneurs, athletes, from all different walks of life. So that is a lot of wisdom that you now carry.
Just a lot of failures, guys.
A lot of other people's failures, your own failures that you now get to continuously share and adapt for your successes in life, which is why I knew that this would be a very interesting conversation. Actually, it was way more like precise and to the point than I had imagined. But I do want to be considerate of your time. But the conversation has been really fruitful. Where could people find you on social media?
So you can find me on V's page. Go to her page, subscribe to her YouTube. Make sure you follow her first, and then you can find me at Warner Trejo. And I just want to leave everybody with this. Hey, everybody, remember this. This is the most important thing. You are blessed. You are highly favored. Your business deserves the best version of you. Your family deserves the best version of you. But most of all, this world deserves the best version of you guys. Stay in the business.
Man, it's so good. So good. I hope that everyone saves that just so that they get, or write it down better. Write it down, read it to yourself every single morning. Clearly, it leads to a lot of confidence, a lot of wisdom, and just that grit that you need to keep going, because if you're trying to pursue the things that you love, it's not going to be easy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks so much, Warner. Thanks for being on. Thanks for everyone watching. Love you guys.
Thank you guys.
Go follow. Peace.
Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they scared of you.